All right, I think we're live, Chris.
All right, Gary.
How are you doing today?
I'm well, sir. How are you?
I am good. So I'm Gary Kelley. I am an agent with Remax Executive Realty, and I am speaking to you from high atop French Hill here in marvelous Marlborough, Massachusetts. And who are you, Chris?
I am Chris Arienti. I'm one of the broker owners at the fabulous Remax Executive Realty, and I am broadcasting to you from one of our offices here in lovely Westborough, Massachusetts.
You're in the office.
I am in the office. I had to come up to check the mail, and I figured this would be a good place to sit, have some quiet since nobody's here, and be able to have a conversation today about real estate and what's happening in this crazy world.
I will tell you that I went into the marvelous Marlborough office yesterday, and it's just different. There's the lights are off, the heat was off, it was cold.
Yeah, it's that's about the state of the state at the moment, sir, and all hopeful that we get back to some sense of normalcy at some point sooner rather than later, but not until we're ready.
So I wanted to let our viewers know, welcome to the discussion. This is Chris and I sitting on our respective front porches and just talking about real estate. And if you have questions or comments, put them down below. And in theory, we will see them and be able to respond to them.
Absolutely.
I thought today, Chris, we would kind of cover two different areas. One being, what are we suggesting to consumers now? And also then let's shift after we discuss consumers and talk about where are we with regard to agents and what it means to be essential and safety and that kind of thing. But consumers, what are you telling consumers right now?
So the majority of conversations, Gary, especially from our agents as well, that they're reporting into us, really are surrounding whether they should be or shouldn't be in the real estate market today. Obviously, for what's going on, there's some trepidation. People have social concerns about how will I be viewed if I'm trying to sell my house. They have the realistic, applicable concerns of what happens if I'm having people in my home. How does this all go about now? And as you know very well, real estate is different today than it was a month ago, 2 months ago. It is done more virtual than anything else. So what we have been telling the consumers to the best of our ability is to, one, keep them updated with what's happening, adhering to all of the recommendations, but telling them you got a couple things to look at. Yes, you're going to have less buyers out there, and there's been an absolute decrease in buyers. In fact, 94% of realtors across the country, according to the NRA, have stated that they are seeing less activity from buyers across the board. So that's really telling. So there's definitely less people out there looking, but the people who are looking are serious. Right. And one of our agents, the esteemed Carl Rice, had mentioned to me, hey, Chris, this is kind of like, in a normal spring market, we would see 20, 25 people at an open house and we get 2 or 3 offers. And that's what it's been the last couple of years due to a dearth of inventory or what have you. I had an open house the other day, he said to me. We had 4 people in after seeing a virtual showing, gloves, masks, booties. We got 1 offer, but the 1 offer was strong, and we feel like we're going to sell the house. So I think that's really where you're seeing it. So from a consumer standpoint, it can still be a time to sell your home. It's just being done differently, and it's being done with tremendous precaution. That's kind of what we're seeing. How about yourself? Because, you're out in the front lines. I'm really curious what you're also seeing.
Well, I'm seeing kind of the same thing. The thing that I'm seeing that's interesting is the expectation of where price should be. I'm seeing the buyers that are out in the market now saying, hey, fewer buyers, this is going to be a great opportunity to get a deal. And the sellers that I'm working with are saying, yeah, not so much. Yeah. And so there is a gulf, if you will, between what buyers are thinking the market should be doing now and what the sellers are doing. And, we have been able to close that gulf in nearly all cases. So that's a good thing. So the gulf isn't too wide is my point. But there is that expectation that, hey, the world's on sale right now. And I'm not finding that to be the case.
No, well stated. And we've had a couple of conversations with consumers about that. And one of my team members who actually has a client who was looking to get into the market simply because she thought she was going to get a deal. We did correct her and say right now that is not the case. However, I will submit that I do believe we're going to see a drop in prices at some point. Oddly, year over year, we've seen a 2.4% increase in listed homes on the market comparative to 2019, which that would sound strange since we're seeing more and more people delay getting into the market. And that was for the month of March, so not April, but March. However, the market is still filled with people who want to sell and are looking to get the right price for their home. So those deals, that proverbial deal, is not being seen. What I think is going to happen, though, is you're going to swing more over to a neutral market, and you will start to see those prices come down. Now, how much? We're not sure.
Right.
How far to that buyer's market does it get? Does it just stay neutral? Is it still a seller's market? Hard to say again. In statistically, anything under 6 months of inventory is still considered a seller's market. We were at, before all this, a month and a half of inventory, which is unbelievably low. It's historically low. So to get it even to a neutral market, I think we still have a little ways to go. But I think you're going to see those prices come down. I still don't think you're going to see that deal happen that some buyers are kind of looking at to take advantage of maybe what's happening. Right. Not in a bad way, but you know what I mean. But that's
I pulled some numbers before the meeting, and Worcester County single-family homes today, as of right before the meeting when I hit the button, we had 1,100 single-family homes on the market in Worcester County. A month ago, 1,077. Wow. I'm going to say that that's kind of the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
And I think it's interesting. We are, approaching the leveling point of the surge. Mass General says that's what they're seeing. The governor's still seeing it creep up a little bit. Bottom line is, I think everyone would say we're kind of starting to make that, and then we're going to see it. Hopefully, after it levels out, we're going to see it drop again. And so, at some point, this is going to be a different market. At some point, we used to talk about what's it going to be like when we're past this.
Yeah.
I'm in the mindset now that we're not going to be past it. We're going to have to learn to live with the virus. And so what are you telling your sellers that they need to do, and your buyers, to be sensitive that we're living in an age where there's a virus around and you can get sick and all that stuff? And I don't want to get sick. I don't want my sellers getting sick, and I don't want the buyers being sick. So, and I'm not a medical person. So other than sanitizing, wearing gloves and booties, what are we telling people?
Yeah, we're telling people to limit the amount of exposure the best that you can, while at the same time marketing the home. So how does one do that? And that's where that technology piece comes in. I think sellers going forward, and to your point, this is historically, and I'm not a medical person either, but in reading about this and listening and trying to learn as much as I can about it, historically with viruses, they come and they go, but they don't go away. They come, they go, and then they come back, and then they go back. And so you kind of see this roller coaster ride a little bit. And the hope is it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, and it goes down over time to a point where it flattens out. And hopefully by that time there's some sort of vaccine or something along those lines. But until that point, I think we're a ways away, maybe even years away from that. I think you well stated that we're going to have to live with this. So sellers are now being advised to embrace technology. A ton of virtual tours, 457% increase in virtual tours posted on MLS. I mean, that just tells you right there what's happening on that level. Limiting the exposure as far as only buyers who are pre-approved and who are really interested. So a lot of times some roadblocks per se, Gary, but hoops you have to jump through before you can see the home. And you have to watch the virtual tour again, just in an effort to limit the amount of exposure. You don't want people who are just kind of looking. You want people who are really serious. And in small cases, but the most extreme of those cases, we're seeing sellers being either advised or on their own requiring, maybe through the advice of an attorney, only allowing people to see the home who make an offer first, which is interesting, i.e., make an offer sight unseen, watch it online, and then you can come in with the offer contingent upon that in-person viewing. So that's the most extreme piece I've seen. What we're not seeing anymore at all is any sort of open house, any sort of just open showings, that type of thing. So sellers are being advised with that, and they're also saying it because, as you said, they don't want to get sick. They don't want their loved ones to get
I
sick.
actually think that, and I don't want to say the virus is good, okay? But I think if there's goodness coming out of this, having those virtual tours out there only helps better inform consumers.
Agreed.
And it used to be, in my case, I would do a Matterport virtual tour on higher end listings.
Sure.
Now I'm doing everything. And I've made it so that I can do the Matterport tour myself, so I'm not having to fund it with someone else. And so it's more cost effective. So my point is there's efficiencies that are coming from this that in the long run will help everyone.
Agreed. I think we're going to see a changeover in so many ways for the better. And again, never to make light of what is happening. Terrible, tragic stuff is happening around us, but trying to see a silver lining, as you just mentioned, and seeing something positive. I think that's going to be a lasting impression in real estate. I think it's going to be something that continues well after this ends for the betterment of both buyers and sellers. I think more, not a reliant on, but use of technology in order to enhance what we do, to help the client, to help our agents, to be better in touch with folks, to be more in touch at a higher level with folks. I think a lot of that is going to come out of this and help us be better at all of that. And we had talked a couple of times about coming out of this stronger than we went in.
Right.
When I say that, that's what I'm referencing. And I'm fully 100% confident that that will be the case. We will be stronger coming out of this than we went in, and we'll be better at what we do.
So yesterday, Governor Baker signed legislation saying you can't have commercial or residential evictions.
Yes.
That certainly is an interesting wrinkle if you're an investor. What are you telling your investors about that?
Yeah, so that was a topic of conversation, to say the least. I had two conversations since that ruling came out. One was interesting because it was two diametrically opposed types of viewpoints. One was very much in favor of it and felt that that was the right thing to do. And absolutely at this time, that's what we're doing. And they were all for it. And I had another one who's unfortunately had to deal with two different instances of, I think what we called before this, opportunists who are simply just not going to pay their rent despite the fact that they can. So I think you're going to have both of those. But in general, the feeling I've gotten from most of the investors and most of the folks who are in those positions was positive, so long as the banks are also listening. Because if they're still responsible for paying their mortgages on those places, it could put them in a hardship after a certain amount of time. So I think that conversations on that end are going to come out. Best of my knowledge, there is things happening at the federal level as far as loan forgiveness, or not forgiveness, but putting off some of those payments for folks both in residential and commercial and investing. If that comes to fruition, I think that this could be a good thing to help some folks out. If it doesn't, and those landlords are still responsible for paying monthly, and someone's going to threaten foreclosure on them, I think we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, I was under the impression my dry cleaner was closed. And it turned out I drove by and they were open. So I stuck my head in, and now I have a nice, freshly pressed shirt. And I said to him, why are you open? And he looked at me, he says, I've known the guy for years. He looked at me and says, Gary, I can't spend any more time at home. I just can't. So I opened, I had 3 shirts come in. He says, but that's enough to keep it interesting. But I asked him, is the landlord here giving you any relief? Is he trying to work with you in any way? And he says, the landlord told us that we could apply for a loan, but we still have to pay the rent. So he was very direct and a little bit down as a result of that.
Wow.
But I think every case is different. I do know of a number of people where the landlord has basically said, you don't have income. You're a good tenant. I don't want you to leave. Well, let's work on this.
Yep.
I think that that's fair.
Agreed. We've had that happen in our own cases for RE/MAX Executive. We've been very fortunate to have some good landlords who have cut our rent in half, and they did that proactively. They reached out to us before we even reached out to them and said, in light of what's happening in the world, and in order to help you with your business, you guys have been great tenants. We're cutting your rent in half for the next 2 months. So we've had that. We've had some others who have said, absolutely not. We have to pay. You have to pay. So It's going to be case by case, I think, as most of this is. And it's fluid. It's changing by the hour still. And we're learning more and more each day. So I think we're going to have to approach those things with investors, with commercial folks, and with tenants. We've had tenants reach out as well saying, I can't pay my rent. What do I do? So that's we have that side as well.
So let's shift now from consumer and investor, et cetera, to agents. You are one of the broker owners of a company with, I don't know, 140 agents, something like that, whatever the number du jour is. Yep. What do you tell agents right now? How do you keep agents heads in the game? And how do you respect agents who are basically saying, I'll be back once things get back to normal?
Well, it's just that. We respect that. We have said that agents need to do what they feel is in their best interest as well as their clients. But honestly, Gary, and I mean this sincerely, they have to do what's in their best interest first. They have to be secure with their own person. I've had some agents who are on the older side. They're getting ready for retirement. And they've said to me, Chris, I'm just not going out of my house. Yeah. Okay. And we respect that and we understand it. These are different and difficult times. And that has to be respected, in my opinion. They can still be working, and they are. They're just not stopping working. They are prospecting. They are reaching out to their client base. They're sending out mailers. They're sending out emails. They're checking on folks, seeing if people need anything. So they are still working. They're just doing it from the safe confines of their home, and that is fully respected. I have other agents who want to keep things going at a different level and are following the guidelines, adhering as closely as they can to all protocols to be safe, keeping their clients safe and themselves safe. And, we had referenced in the beginning with masks, booties, hand sanitizers, whatever you can do, not touching one's face, staying 6 to 8 feet apart, those types of things, and are still conducting business. And they're choosing to do that. We respect that as well. What we're trying to do is keep them positive, let them know we're here to help, keeping in touch with the agents the best we can, sending them information. We're holding our Zoom meetings, both large group and small group, and trying to lead from the front and make sure and ensure that they know that they have a voice and that their concerns will be heard. We will continue to support them at that level. And if they need help with how to work from home, we're going to help them do that. If they have concerns about going out and doing showings of what that should look like, we're going to help them do that. If they have clients who are upset with something they're doing and they need to have help with that, we're going to help them do that. And that is one thing that we have tried to do, and I think we've done successfully, is be in touch with those agents and respect their decision first and then support whatever that decision is. Because you can still work on your business from home, even if you're not active, even if you're the I'll see you in a couple months person, you can still be doing stuff from the home. And that comes from education and support and just knowing what to do. So that's really where we've been kind of going with that and keeping a positive mindset. This is a terrible, tragic thing that's happening. We're doing our best to deal with it. And we are looking for rays of hope and rays of light. What can be done right now? One thing I know, Gary, is when folks feel out of control is when they feel most frightened. I know I do. When I feel out of control, or I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or I lack some sort of control of my surroundings, I get anxious, I get stressed, and that brings on fear. So how do you gain control in a very uncontrollable situation? Well, you do the things you can do. You educate oneself. You better yourself in certain ways. You set yourself up and have a routine each day. Those types of things. So we're trying to advise our agents on all of those things and more, and letting them know, we're in this together. We're all in the same boat, and we will come out of this stronger, and we will make this through. We'll make it through. This too shall pass.
I have to support that. I have tried to discipline myself to get up every morning. It'd be easy to say, no appointments, just hang in bed, read a book, whatever. I'm getting up every day. I'm getting showered. I'm getting dressed. I'm actually picking up breakfast and trying to do so as part of my regular routine. Now, from there on, as most real estate, the day really goes many different ways. I've got showing this afternoon. I've got an appraisal tomorrow. I mean, the basics of real estate continue. Yeah. We are making the effort to go out and reach back to our clients and check in on them. How are you doing? Is everything okay? Do you need anything? Do you need groceries? Anything like that? As a way to just let people know that we care and we're there. And that I think important. It's also a nice opportunity to reconnect with people that perhaps you haven't talked to because everyone's busy. Yeah. And that has been nice. I did have one client say to me, Gary, this is going to shake out a lot of agents. This has got to squeeze people. Are you going to be around? And the answer is, of course. And you go like this, but no, I thought that was a very caring question, and I thought that was nice, and we do intend to be around, all of us.
And I think and I agree 100% with what you just said. And one thing I also want to submit, I had a conversation the other day with a couple different agents, and we were talking about some programming we might do. They were asking about a couple things. They were talking about different things they should be doing. And they stopped in mid-conversation and said, "What's best for you guys?" And I said, "What?" And they said, "What's best for you? What do you need from us?" And I stopped and I smiled and I said, "Wow, what a caring, kind thing to say back to one of your broker owners." Because as you know, we try very hard to make it always about the agent. You are the most important person in the equation, so to speak. We're here for you. So we really work for you. We work for our agents. To have that said back really was telling to me. And I think it speaks volumes as to where people's minds are right now. We are in this together. Everybody matters. Be safe, be kind type of mentality. And I just was really, really taken back by that and appreciated it.
So, Chris, I'm going to ask you a personal question.
Yes, sir.
And stream it worldwide. So how long have you been a broker owner?
I've been a broker owner for exactly a year and a month.
So 13 months ago.
As an owner, yes.
You became a broker owner. And the joke is a broker is made up of broke and, and the rest. What has been your biggest surprise as a broker owner as we've entered the let's limit it to the last couple of months. What's been your biggest surprise? Because there are those that are probably saying, "Oh, Chris, good luck."
Yeah, we've got a lot of that. So yes, I was a broker prior to, and I'd been managing or running offices for several years coming in. However, my experience as an owner, as part of this ownership group, has been wonderful. And I could go on and on about the company, the agents, and my partners. But to narrow it down and be concise, the biggest surprise was how difficult sometimes the decisions you have to make actually are, and being the one who has to make them. That's been not a surprise in the sense that I didn't think that was part of the role, but actually having to do it, going through it, everything from looking at our own staff's hours to cutting our own pay, to furloughing staff, to having to apply for several different loans with several different banks, to all of those what are smaller things to larger things in order to keep the operation going, and having to make those decisions and be firm in your stance. That has been interesting. It's been a bit of a trial by fire. I have learned a tremendous amount by going through this. I don't think it was something I would, looking back on, would have chosen to have to go through all this right now, but it has been an experience, to say the least, and an education. So that has been probably the biggest surprise for me, being so new to the ownership piece, just over a year as an owner, broker for many years, but just a year as an owner, having to make those owner decisions sometimes that are not always popular, but have to be made.
I can be empathetic. In 2008, I was an owner of a real estate company in Boston. And we had to make those decisions quickly. And we were a small operation. We had 3 offices. And you're impacting people's lives at some level you're pretty friendly with. And it's hard to go up to someone and say, "Listen, we're in a tough situation and we appreciate everything you've done for us. And dot, dot, dot." So I'm empathetic with that. And I know it's tough, and we, hanging together, we'll all get through it. Chris, we've been chatting now for 25 minutes. Any parting words that you'd like to share?
Sure. These are trying times, and we're going to get through them together. Has kind of become cliche, but it's also true. Just because it's cliche doesn't mean it's not accurate, if you will. I'm a big believer that we succeed together in the best of times. Definitely get through things in the worst of times together, as opposed to by ourselves. We must lean on each other. So I tell my agents to lean on me. I tell friends and family to lean on me, because I also may need to lean on you. So I would say to people what we always say.
But socially distance, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, well, actually lean. From 10 feet away, you can lean. But stay safe and stay strong, and know that we will get through this. And as my mom used to always say, this too shall pass.
That's true. That's true. I think that the way I'm looking at it is if we do the right thing for our people, if we try to help people, that will get us to the right answer when it comes to real estate. It's not about let's go list a house. It's about as you talk to your clients, is this the right time? Is this the right approach? I've had clients that said, I don't care what the governor says, I want to sell my house. Yep. I have to. I'm facing ruin. And I've had clients that have said, I'm going to hold off for a bit. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
Work with your clients and be helpful.
Yeah. Very well said, sir.
Well, Chris, I want to thank you for spending some time today and sharing your views with the world. And we didn't get any comments or questions in. We'll hope to get some of those the next time. But thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Stay safe.
Stay sanitized.
Yes, sir.